That night, Rina had just returned to the boarding house after working overtime. The clock on the wall showed 11:45 p.m. Her boarding room was upstairs, at the end of a narrow hallway that always felt a little stuffy. Exhausted, Rina quickly took a shower and prepared for bed. As he began to close his eyes, he heard a low knock on his bedroom door. Talk, talk, talk. His voice was orderly and smooth. He opened his eyes and looked towards the door. Who was knocking at this late hour? She was silent at first, hoping that the knocker would leave. But the knocking sound didn't stop. It even got clearer and faster. With a little annoyance, Rina got up and walked towards the door. "What's wrong?" he asked without opening the door. There was no answer, only silence. He moved his ear closer to the door, confirming if anyone was outside. And at that moment, a low whispering voice sounded from behind the door. "Rina, I'm here." Rina's Roman fur immediately stood up. She recognized the voice of her best friend, Maya. But something was strange, because she knew very well that Maya couldn't be here tonight. Maya was returning to her village since yesterday. Maya," Rina called in a trembling voice. However, there was no reply. Only the knocking grew louder, as if the knocker wanted to force his way in. With shaking hands, Rina peered through the small opening in the door. But all she saw was an empty hallway. There was no one outside. Just then, the whispering voice sounded again, much closer, no longer from outside the door, but right behind him. "I'm here, Rin," Rina gasped, turning around, and found Maya's figure standing in the corner of the room, with a pale face and an unnaturally big smile. Maya's eyes were blank, and from the corner of her lips, blood was dripping slowly. That night, Rina's screams could be heard echoing through the boarding house. But when the other residents arrived, they only found an empty room. There was no trace of Rina, only the door that was slightly open, swinging softly like someone had just entered or left. To this day, no one knew what really happened to Rina. However, new boarding house residents often reported the sound of knocking on the door at midnight, followed by subtle whispers calling their names.